We have come to the end of the first day of questioning of the undercover police officer who used the cover name Jason Bishop, HN3, code name Red Herring. We don't have his real name. It's almost certainly Jason because it always is. No, not always Jason. It's always the first name of their cover name. Yeah. We've just now got to the end of that first day. So, initially, he was set for only one day of questioning, but thankfully the chair saw sense, and it was announced a few days ago that there will be further questioning on Thursday afternoon, though how long that will be for is unclear. There's been a bit of a delay in me doing this video because you might notice that the end of the hearing was subject to reporting restriction order. There was a breach, and then there was a whole bunch of rigmarole after that. I won't bore you with the details, but that's why we're so late doing the video. I'm joined by my OG guest, Evelyn Lubbers of the Undercover Research Group. Just quickly, when we did the last recap video, which I did with Pam, who was with me earlier, he said that the last question that was given to Jason Bishop was about the commercial covert human intelligence sources at the Earth First Summer Gathering. When we got back, we were all with bated breath, waiting to hear what his answer would be, and it was completely ignored.
Yes.
Very frustrating.
Very, very frustrating. It's one of my favorite topics.
It's your topic. It's your specialist subject.
Yeah. So I did write to our lawyers to say, did you see what happened? And can you make sure it's being brought up? It was in a list of questions anyway, but now that it's going to be so rushed on Thursday afternoon because, there's still 2000 to 2005 to go through.
We've been on 2 years.
Yeah, and then all the questions that the core participants have brought up. It's one thing that is very important is the Fairford coaches that Jason was one of the organizers of, and that is a very complicated matter. There's videos of it that have not yet been accepted by the chair to be shown. So there's a whole lot of sort of even more talking behind the screens, like how far can we get? And we are thinking like, they now say it's from 12 onwards. It's not going to be 5 o'clock on Thursday, and I doubt they're going to. Yeah, we're going to be finished like before the day is over.
Also, the idea that it's going to be from 12. Lois Austin is being questioned from 10 a.m. And I feel without that even a small number of questions from Lois Austin is for Lois Austin is likely to be more than 2 hours of questioning.
Yes, sure, because she has a lot to say.
Yes, with good reason.
For good reason. And very,
which relates to the deployment of Carlos Araki, who is the undercover officer we'll be hearing from next week. And from tomorrow, we'll be hearing from people who we deceived in a sexual relationship.
Yes, so it is like, so that we're going to rush, we already know that Thursday morning is going to be rushed, and then Thursday afternoon is going to be rushed and long, and I'm thinking maybe we go into Friday, but I don't want that because as we heard before the week break, that it's 100K every day.
100K a day. Yeah. Anyway, that's enough of the procedural issues because I think people get a bit confused. But let's go back to what we actually heard over the last hour and a half of questioning.
Yes.
And there's a lot more substantive stuff in there than there has been for the rest of the day. We went through a lot of his reports, a lot of specifics about Jason Bishop's deployment. We heard about him as being treasurer of Reclaim the Streets. We heard a lot about we heard about the stress he claimed he was under. There was a reference to stuff that we're not allowed to talk about. There was a number of things that I had to delete tweets about. So if you saw them and you can't find them anymore, you never saw them. Okay. Yeah. Let's not get me in any more trouble.
So but he did commit to having smoked a lot of cannabis.
Yeah, that was quite like. There was a lot of laughter about that. Essentially, he just didn't dispute. There was a whole bunch of things which he just didn't dispute. Where there was stuff that was put forward, and he said, "I don't dispute." And this was a hallmark, really, of the way in which he answered so much of the stuff. Is that if it was in the report, if it was put in front of him, if someone said it about him, he was like, "Oh yeah," but he didn't offer anything new of his own.
No, it was made easy for him because it was often the way of questioning he was given answers like, was it like this or like that, and then he could just confirm the last thing. So he wasn't pushed. He wasn't like he was often talked over and then not given a chance to give his answer. But
a good example, I think, was around the slashing of the tyre, which he drove to the North Wales Earth First Summer Gathering in 2000. He drove a minibus. When he went to get on board the minibus, the tyre was slashed. This comes from a statement that was given by Robert Brambury to the inquiry. And he was like, oh, yes, I don't remember the specifics, but I don't dispute. And just, did you do the slashing of the tires? Of course not. And just moved on. I mean, there was no new information added. He said he didn't remember it himself, but he didn't dispute. He didn't dispute.
Yeah, and then there was like positions of responsibility. He was the treasurer of Reclaim the Street at a certain point.
Yes, and Disarmed IC, both.
Yeah, but then there was some specifics about insights he would get out of that, and someone who said something about it in their statement. And then he said, no, I think that was confused with another group I was the treasurer of. And we didn't get to know which other group that was. There's lots of other groups he infiltrated, which is, we don't even know. It was never, we were never told, he wasn't asked. And there's a lot of,
just on that thing about the treasurer position, because it was very interesting that it was put to him, did your managers, they pleased about this? And they said, yes, they thought it would improve my reporting, what the areas I was able to report on. And did you seek out these roles? Because you took treasurer role in so many organizations. Yeah. And he goes, no. I sought out giving lifts, carrying things, picking up, dropping off.
Yeah.
But I never sought out treasurer roles. It's like, how come you had so many? I mean, the obvious follow-up to that is like, well, how come you kept ending up as treasurer everywhere if you weren't seeking out this role?
Yeah.
I mean, particularly because it was shown that the meeting amongst Reclaim the Streets about who should become the next treasurer included Jim Boyling putting him forward, who's supposedly someone who, according to the reports and according to what he said today, that they presented not to know each other in Weary World, as they call it, out in the field, in the real life. I mean, he's on this group, a small group, and it includes Rosa as well, where I think there's only 3 people in that group who decide who the next treasurer would be, and lo and behold, it's the other undercover cop.
Yeah, so such a surprise.
Absolutely.
No, but he wasn't giving away much, and he was pretending, I don't dispute that. So I'm easy. And he did remember a lot. And
that was the other one. This other role that he constantly got, that of postmaster, that he was the person who was responsible for collecting the mail from the PO box number for Reclaim the Streets, or the BM number, which was a thing I'd forgotten existed, BM numbers, for Disarmed IC. And it was, he was like, was I? I don't really remember. I didn't do much. And then it was like, did you intercept the mail? And he went, no. No, I would never intercept mail. I mean, the idea that I would, obviously I'm infiltrating the very personal lives of these people, but I wouldn't open a letter.
No, I would never do that.
Obviously, because he's aware of the law around that and the fact that it was require warrant.
And it was a very a funny bit. Well, funny. I'm being cynical here, but like amusing. Now, it's the wrong word again. He was shown some quotes of his own reports on the way. Some
sneering.
So it was written up, so he couldn't remember whether he or like that or someone else must have done it. This is really smearing, derogatory. It was very awful. And then it was put to him that Jim Boyling had told Rosa that he really detested the people in Reclaim the Street, and that he really detested his job. And it comes with that same story that he got so stressed from whatever he did. And then he said, no, on the contrary, I really liked people.
Affectionate.
Affectionate. And I really liked the people in Reclaim the Street, and I liked the things they did and they were standing for. And they're like, what? But why would you write about him in such a?
I mean, what was quite interesting actually, because we were shown examples of these processed reports, and he was like, "Yes, it's very sneering. Yes, I would never have said that. I would never have said that." And then they brought up his own reports, his own raw reports. And though, I would say that the language is slightly different, it's equally sneering. He's equally derogatory about people in a different way. I would say, there was some of it where it was like. Some of the humor he used was in parallel to activist humor on the same topic. I mean, like he'd obviously picked up the jokes from activists
Yeah,
and then was
yeah.
repeating them
Yeah.
to another audience that would find them funny. I mean, the fact that he barefacedly said, "Oh no, there was no suggestion that there was anything in the reports that was meant to make the people reading it laugh." I mean, it's just bullshit. I mean, there's obvious jokes in
And
the
he
reports.
was not the only one who did that.
No,
you
they
know.
all did that. They all
yeah,
did that.
Yeah. So that was really, really weird. And so in contradiction with what he apparently said he thought of the groups he infiltrated. I'm trying to think about, the drugs stuff was funny because, Emily Apple, who knew him very well and he's going to testify as well. She remembered him as a smoker, really, not just sharing spliffs, but handing out, always having a source of cannabis and also, and he pretended to be like, it was allowed if it helped your cover. So if you were in the company of others who smoked, but she was very.
But I mean, it was very interesting, I think, what he said that, because he said he was told directly that minor law breaking, like fly posting, minor criminal damage was one of them, minor theft and drug taking were considered to be part of the role, and that as long as he did it in his cover identity, there was no concern. But should he do any of these things in his real life, then his managers have a problem with it.
He claimed that if he would smoke a spliff at a meeting or at an event.
But it wasn't just about drug taking. It was also about minor theft, criminal damage, and fly posting.
No, I was just trying to explain that he could smoke in his own bedsit, in his cover accommodation with other people, but not on his own and not in his own time and not in his, so it was like very, very weird. And one of the other things was they talked about these outings they had as the unit,
the trip to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, this was from an earlier session. I mean, there's one other thing from this last bit I really want to talk about with you.
Okay.
But I mean, just quickly on that. I mean, he claims that even though these trips seemed to always to be places where prostitution was legal, that there was definitely nobody ever used
to Las Vegas, and they were not, no, I didn't do that. So what was so attractive about Las Vegas?
Oh, the food, allegedly.
No,
well, no, he said gambling.
He said very convincingly, I like gambling. So it makes you think about what kind of gambling he likes.
But the thing I want to talk to you about, which I think was one of the most interesting bits, was he talks about, he says that the 2000 Earth First Summer Gathering in North Wales was the beginning and the end of Reclaim the Streets. A lot of his reporting after that, which we weren't taken to, which I was a bit irritated by, but we weren't taken to the actual reports. But he talks a lot about interpersonal disputes that existed within the group, and the fact there's divisions. And it's put to him that, did he take any role in exacerbating these disputes, in putting a breach in? And he's like wedging these people apart. And he says, no, he didn't. He's like, no, that was not my role. Which, I mean, I think just the way, the detail of which he reports on them.
He knew far too much about it.
There was another let of the question which wasn't asked, which was, what was this intelligence used for? Let's accept that he didn't further apart these breaches.
He didn't.
Right. But why is there so much detail about that? Where's that going? What's that being used for? And then it was put about, he was given Reclaim the Streets' own statement about the demise of Reclaim the Streets, why it fell apart. And they said it was because of police harassment, media lies, and interpersonal disputes. And he said, I don't agree. They were policed out of existence, which is like going, I don't agree, I do agree. He said they were policed out of existence because the police had, after the high level of infiltration they'd had with his previous, with Jim Boyling, they were now at a point where their way of dealing with it was, it was the forward intelligence teams, it was the harassment, and he accepted essentially the exact opposite essentially of what Jim Boyling said, where Jim Boyling claimed that groups that were infiltrated by the SDS flourished. He went, oh no, I mean they were policed out of existence, and that those interpersonal disputes that there's more going on than that. There was something that which was going on there which he wasn't asked about.
No, and of course we don't know if they were the only two that infiltrated those groups. You know, Reclaim the Street was a major problem for London and for London companies, the London rulers. So, you know, there's still quite a few undercover officers that we don't know the name of, and we only know just a little bit about what they did and where they were. So there, well, without speculating too much, 1 and 1 is 2. You know, like they knew a lot about the internal disputes. If he didn't do it, someone else may have.
Yeah, I mean, the other one is that we saw some of his reports where he reported on the intention of people from London Action Resource Centre to bring a civil claim against the police for harassment. And there's a log that's being made by activists in Lark, and he's reporting on the detail of that. And there's like, did you see it as your role to report on any potential civil claim against the police? And he's like, oh yeah, of course. I mean, like, obviously,
it would cost the police a lot of money. You know, if we would be if we would be charged for arresting people without good reason, and so there is some higher level steering of what he was doing and what he was reporting on that we're not talking about at all, and that might also be linked with the commercial spies that were sent into these groups, because of course both Reclaim the Street and campaigns against arms trade and the DSR. Sorry, it's late. There were commercial interest, higher commercial interest, and we heard from some other undercover officer.
Boiling about marking the part
that like companies would come to the SDS to see if they had their intelligence right and if they had done their homework, and from before that, we know that the SDS has indeed.
Just to underline this thing about marking your homework. I mean, it sounds like they're just going, "Oh yeah, you've got that right," but actually, what they're doing is they're confirming intelligence.
Yes,
I mean, that is providing intelligence in a form, right?
Yes, it is. It is. It's sort of the all boys network, sort of the grey network that I've been writing about. That like many of the special branch officer that were involved in not just the SDS, but in C squads, collecting intelligence on activists, retired early or went on to work for companies that were at the receiving end of campaigns. So these networks kept exchanging intelligence. We've seen that with McLibel, with London Greenpeace, where the police and the commercial spies that were brought in into by McDonald's were indeed exchanging information and knew about each other's existence. So there's definitely more to be uncovered here, and it was so convenient that the question about the commercial spies being brought into the groups he infiltrated. Did he know about that? That his screen apparently froze. We went on a tea break, and the question was never brought up again. And it makes you think, there's so much more here that is not being discussed.
There's been a lot of stuff covered today. Something which really sticks out to me was that document we saw about the uniform being let off the leash by Special Branch, the harassment and disruption of protests, the start of the use of the forward intelligence teams. That document about that particular meeting, which according to the minutes, Jason Bishop is there. He's in the meeting. Yeah. He remembers nothing about it at all.
No.
I think for me, there's a lot more to come out about that particular area.
Yeah.
And I worry that, and this has been a worry, I think, from the start of the inquiry, that this is outside the remit of the inquiry, outside the terms of reference. But I think it's really important to people to understand that the deployment of covert officers into protest movements is not in a vacuum. That during this same time, particularly during this time period, there was a huge ramping up of uniformed police targeting of activists. The same activists who were being targeted by undercover officers, the very same people. Do you want to talk a bit about that? Because I think that's fascinating.
Yes, I think the forward intelligence teams have been they are a kind of a link between, they are public order policing, but they are intelligence as well. They pretend to be stewards almost of demonstrations, but they always try to talk to people and try to get like soft intelligence that is indeed shared with the STS. And it's kind of sort of,
I mean, we heard about those desk meetings that they were having with C Squad about that. Only twice a year, which I found very weird. But
well, that's probably just the bigger meetings to sort of draw the bigger lines. I can't imagine that there weren't like monthly meetings.
It seems very strange. Though,
yeah.
I mean, we are getting this idea there is some sort of internal turf war that exists between these sections of the Met, which is weird. And how much I don't know how much of that I believe. Really, it's very confusing to me. That.
Yeah, it is. It is confusing, but I do think that, well, there's turf wars between units, but there's connections between individual officers, and they all meet each other in the pub and whatever. So that's, again, we come back to this grey area of connections that always work. And I do, again. It's the public order policing, it's the violence, it's the fit teams, it's the STS, and again I come back to the commercial officers and the big companies that start to have their own security departments and who talk about, like who want to know when the next pitch at their company is, or when to expect, even a non-violent action of manure on their doorstep or whatever. The half of the effect of such an action is the surprise of the company, and that they don't know that it's coming, and to see the surprised faces, that's what the media want. And if they know in advance, they have time to prepare and to prepare their statements, and it sort of diminishes the success of your action. So it's that combination of intelligence that is shared and the more and more brutal policing that has made it very difficult for, and also causes burnout in activists. And
I mean, straight up intimidation. I mean, certainly. I mean, I don't want to get too much into my own personal experiences, but the stalking that I got from forward intelligence teams and the berating I got over the death of my grandmother was particularly. It was incredibly upsetting. I don't really want to talk about it too much, but I mean, these forward intelligence teams didn't just like do softly talking. No. They're there to goad you and to like try and get you to be upset and intimidate them and stop doing it.
Take pictures and filming and like it's all intimidating in different ways.
And follow you home for days on end.
And
wait outside your house or wait outside your grandmother's nursing home. I mean, let's not get into that. Just quickly, there's 24 people watching. Only 5 of you have liked the broadcast. Please like and share, subscribe, all that guff. I feel very cringe asking. It makes a huge difference to the number of people who see it, though. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. We've had quite a few comments. Makes you wonder what Jason Bishop got up to, given he's still scared to show his face. I mean, I think this point. I mean, there's a number of former undercover officers who've managed to get the anonymity about their appearance. It suggests, I mean, we don't know for sure, that boils down to their current role. What they're currently doing, and certainly I've had previous guests whilst doing these reaction videos that have asked, how many of these former undercover officers are currently chief constables or have other senior roles within the police or other aspects of the state.
I don't. MI6.
We really don't know.
We don't want to speculate.
No, and we certainly don't know anything. We're not breaking any restriction orders because we don't actually know. But I mean, and makes you wonder.
The experience they've had in the STS and maybe working in other bits of special branch, collecting information about certain groups, be it extreme left or extreme left, quotation marks, and extreme right or whatever. And whether they got on with MI5, with the security service, may have opened doors for further jobs.
Very much. Yeah. I mean, we do know that in terms of Trevor Morris. He ends up setting up Special Branch Baghdad. Yeah. We see that with Roger. Oh God, what's his surname? I'm just covering my head. Roger.
Pierce.
Roger Pierce. Yeah, I mean, he goes on to head like a European intelligence
well,
agency
still,
for private
he
sector.
becomes head of special
Yeah.
branch first.
Bob Lambert, you know, I mean, so many of these people.
He didn't get that high.
not that high in the
That's
end,
another
no, but he really
story.
tried to.
Yeah.
Someone just said, all this for peace and environmental protesters. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, essentially, you know, this unit was you know, set out to go against peace protesters. I mean, it started out with the anti-Vietnam War movement. If it's anything more serious, they wouldn't have wanted to get involved. Just going through some of the other comments. The inquiry was too soft on Jason. Obviously not a credible witness.
Absolutely.
Very much.
A
few words for Daisy Monaghan.
Yeah, she didn't have her shit together. She was giving him answers. She was confused with her own paperwork and her own evidence too many times. She wasn't focused, and apparently, well, like we just discussed, there was a lot of stuff that couldn't be talked about. So that maybe that made her nervous or made it sort of very wary of saying
for whatever
things.
reason.
For whatever reason, it was
Poor.
cringing. It was like really, really, really bad, and it was like it felt like the very early days of David Barr, who's now the head of the Council of Inquiry, like just going through not even going through a list, but just, you know, like, okay, I've done that question, that, and not listening to the answer.
I mean, there was no answer repeatedly.
No.
Just complete silence, and then she asked another question.
Yeah, and it's like when there is a silence, there is something, and you have to push, you know. Like, but she was already in her head with her next question. Next question is very disappointing, and also in general, you know, that such an important witness only gets one day, and then another half day, a few days later. It's like, it's only the undercover officers that have been in relationships that get 3 or 4 days, and that is because they've been exposed by the people they spied on.
Yep.
And Jason Bishop is a really important witness, and why he doesn't get more days is a complete mystery to me.
Another comment here from the Campaign Opposing Police Surveillance. Amazing that Bishop said, if the activists didn't get the illegal software from me, they would have got it from someone else. That's what people flogging smack and guns say too. There's nothing Spy Cops did that makes them actually think they were wrong. I mean, I think as well. I mean, there is another element to that. I mean, it goes deeper, because, you know, we're talking about the late 90s, early 2000s, when, you know, illegally downloading software wasn't that straightforward. You know, I mean, like. And the software he's talking about, I mean, things like Quark Express, a specialist software, and particularly back then, I mean, maybe less so now, but back then, this was, you know, it was remarkably expensive. I mean,
yes, sure.
I think it's about £1,000 a license for Quark Express. You know, him knocking this stuff out, activists weren't going to go and get it from elsewhere, not least because high-speed internet wasn't that common.
Did it exist?
I mean, it did exist, but it was very expensive.
But remember that these were DVDs that you would put into your computer, and we don't know what else was on those DVDs, what the kind of backdoor was created in your computer, or what software was installed on your computer. It makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder, you know, like, it's not just a way to become very popular, like, you know, like exchanging music, like other undercover. It just makes you wonder in the entire context that we've been talking about here.
I mean, it was quite interesting that when it was said, "Oh, did that make you popular, giving away these DVDs?" Oh, I lent them. I didn't give them away. Bullshit. But also he was like, "Oh no, nothing." I mean, like the idea.
Why would he do it if it wouldn't make him popular?
Right, but the fact that he felt the need to play that down. Like, obviously, it's going to make you popular. Obviously, that's a really useful thing for your deployment. And like, given that you're admitting to the criminality element of the illegal DVDs. Why don't you just admit that, it was for popularity reasons? I don't understand why he pushed back on that.
Yeah, we should analyze his answers and the contradictions in them, and all the answers that he didn't give or was allowed not to give. Or he was just handed by, what's her name?
Daisy Monaghan.
Yeah.
I mean, we should do that. We're not going to get much chance, because tomorrow we've got Lindsay, who was deceived into a long-term intimate relationship by the undercover officer Carlos Araki.
Yeah.
After that, the next day we've got Donna McLean.
Isn't it the other way around?
Oh God, maybe it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Lindsay and Donna over the next 2 days. Which way around is it? That's a good question. I think you might be right. No, it's Donna first, then Lindsay.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2 days of the women who were deceived by Carlos Araki, before we have that day with Lois, also about Carlos Araki.
Yeah.
She was in a relationship with him, but very significant issues around.
And then we go back to
infiltration.
Jason Bishop.
Then
It's
Bishop again,
very weird.
it's all-
and then
it jumps around.
Emily Apple is like,
Well, weeks away before,
yeah.
just before the questioning of Simon Wellings. Also, someone who spied on her. But I mean, I think a lot of the material. I mean, we had this constant thing today from Daisy Monaghan where she was like, "I'm going to read out from the statement. I can't take you to it because it hasn't been published yet."
Emily's statement. Yeah.
But not just Emily. I mean, there were some others. I mean,
Yeah,
the RTS
yeah,
statement's
yeah,
not been published
yeah.
yet. I mean, I would say Kyle. Maybe he's here. Kyle from the inquiry promised me a week last Thursday that all these statements will be published by now.
It's very tempting to publish them ourselves by now, because we need them, and it's like how can we do a proper investigation and a proper questioning without those statements? It's like the inquiry is behind, and they're not willing to admit that.
No, yeah. I mean, they're really not. It's very frustrating. I mean, we keep getting these farcical moments. I mean, the day started with a farce with the reporting restriction order that was issued, which cut off the first 10, 15 minutes of today's hearing. Turns out it was a false alarm. That didn't stop all the the crap that goes with a restriction order.
Yeah,
taking place.
so people who joined in this morning on YouTube didn't get to see anything
or hear anything.
Or hear, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, hear anything. It was audio only today. It's very tiring. Yeah,
it is. So there's 30 people watching now. There's only 8 people liked. If you are able to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. I know it's awful to ask. I feel like a dick asking, but please, it would help. Is there anything else you want to say about Jason's evidence today? What if, overall? I mean, we've said repeatedly he's not a very credible witness. He hasn't given much away.
No, so I'm thinking we need much more time with him. But what is he going to say? Like, are we going to give up our Friday and 100K in costs? Is there a way where that we can focus on the most important questions so that we don't, let's skip all going through reports where it's not going to give answers anyway.
I mean, it is telling though that we've done 2 years of his deployment.
Yeah.
There's 7 years of deployment in this case.
Yeah.
There's 5 years that we haven't gone through. There's been little bits here and there. They've jumped around to some individual things, but very little.
Yeah.
The vast majority of his deployment hasn't even been addressed yet.
No, and there's so many specific issues that need even more time. So give this man another day. What am I saying?
We will. Yeah, we actually want to live through that. Thanks for joining us. Unless there's anything else you want to particularly add, we'll be back again tomorrow with Donna McLean. That's going to be intense. If you've read Small Town Girl, I really recommend. If you haven't read it, rather, I recommend checking it out. Just a couple more comments. Someone from the Campaign Opposing Police Surveillance has shared a file. Well, it was my friend a Spy Cop. That is the publication from the Undercover Research Group.
That we did.
It is a little bit dated now, but still worth checking out if you wonder if a friend of yours was an undercover police officer. It is historic. If you are concerned about somebody in your group currently, I would say that there is a lot of different work to be done on that. Let's not get into that right now, but yeah. So there's a suggestion from somebody called Proudhon. Is there a sympathetic MP or someone that could print/leak the info us to avoid consequences? Probably not. No, probably not. Certainly, I don't know any MPs. Do you? not really. Actually, that's a lie. Actually, I have met.
We
some
do,
MPs,
yeah.
But I'm not
MPs
interested.
or people in House Floors.
Yeah. So that is Thanks for the support. There's some comments just thanking us. I won't share those. I'll spare you the backslapping. But thanks for joining us. We will be back tomorrow. I'm not doing a Twitter Spaces in the evening. I've stopped doing those. I'm doing the weekly ones instead. We did a weekly one on Sunday relating to the evidence of Jim Boyling. I still need to edit that. That's what my evening is going to look like. I hope you're having more fun than me. See you again tomorrow. Bye for now.
Yep.